It's a whole ass part of this process. How do you like my my new naked mole rat look?
It's scary every time you do it. I don't like it.
Yeah, every time I do it. Well, it's gonna help me want to lose weight more because now I can see all three of my chins.
Oh, you're only counting 3 of them?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
You ever seen the video of that guy that reaches over and grabs his lady's neck and just starts jiggling it?
No.
It makes a chicken noise.
Oh, that's great.
My boss was like, "Have you seen that video?" And I was like, "Yeah, I love it." He's like, "Oh, that's what I want to do to you right now." I hope somebody out there knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, man. We're going to have to do it now.
Well, I mean, we could just watch it.
Why? When we could just recreate it.
Fuck it for real. I don't know if I'll make the same noise she did, but hey, we could try. No, I want to start kind of trying to manifest a little bit more of my success, personally and business-wise. Does that make any sense to you?
So, I mean, what's that got to do with cutting all your face off?
So I want to portray the look that I feel like would be a professional look.
You're going back to like the old style of profession.
Like you see, I want to see out of myself what I expect of myself.
Yeah.
And I don't want to always be seen as like, you know, the big redneck that's always in boots with a big beard. You know, it's just, I mean, it's fun. Don't get me wrong. That's definitely the fun side of me.
See, but like, I feel like that's still like an old type of mindset.
Oh yeah.
Because if you look more recently, it's, you know, everything's been opening up where people with beards are more acceptable as successful business people. People with tattoos are now acceptable as
that's for goddamn
successful business people.
Yeah.
So,
well,
I mean, I get where you're coming from, but I still feel like it's a it's an older mindset.
And you're not the only one that believes this. But also too, it's a little bit more personal for me because this is a look that I want to be. I want to be okay with it. I was kind of joking when I said this is like looking this way is going to force me to lose weight. Because one other thing that we're going to delve a little bit more into is, you know, people talk so much about wanting to do this or wanting to do that or wanting to be something or be somebody or be in better shape, whatever the fuck case is, but never really find the fire to do it, you know?
Yeah.
I want to be able to look clean and quote unquote presentable, and I want to feel good about myself in all shades.
Yeah, and I mean, I definitely understand where you're coming from. It's the dress for the part that dress for the job that you want, not
right.
the job that you have type of mentality. And it's
boom. That was good. If I had a mic to drop, I can't throw these.
Sure you can.
Just yeet this thing. Well, guess the episode's over.
Yeet. Well, there goes a lot of money. I'm gonna go cry in the corner now.
But also part of that is like part of me doing this is like forcing me. Okay, so now that you've taken that step, what's going to be the next step to make sure that you start achieving more of your goals? And for me personally, because of all the downtime we've had this last year at work, it's fucking hard and it's unsavory. But what I'm gonna start doing, and I started doing it today, is even in my fucking jeans and boots, we have 3 different yards at work. I'm gonna start doing laps and jogging as much of those laps as I can.
Do you guys have like weight room or anything in your yard?
No, but by golly, if I got to fill up some buckets and put a stick between them,
I was gonna say because like my dad's yard, in their office,
mm-hmm.
they've got a 2-story office, and the top story is a gym, and it's fucking nice. Like I've gone to visit his yard before, and it's fucking nice.
Yeah.
Like,
see, even my boss, he kind of overheard me talking about it. He's like, hell, if you got to go do some speed walking with some bags of oil dry on your shoulders, then do that.
Yeah.
I was like, there you fucking go. Like I'm gonna start really, really trying to utilize my time. And yeah, it's going to be hard and it's tiring, but if I can balance it out and use a little bit of my time for everything that I want to get done, then there's no fucking reason I shouldn't be able to get where I want to quick.
Well, yeah, you're just maximizing your time. So instead of like where most people go to the gym after work, you're doing it while you're at work on your downtime when you're sitting there waiting for a call. So you're just maximizing your time.
I feel like that efficiency for the amount of success that guys like you and I are looking for is important.
It is. I mean, and then that's kind of what we've talked about last week. We talked about the burnout and, pushing too hard and stuff like that and causing the burnout. And that's one of the ways to help minimize that, because now you're not trying to juggle this and going to the gym and going to work. You have that opportunity to be able to do that while you're at work. And one of my materials guy at my work, he does the same thing. If he has to bring out, because our interior doors, they're hollow wood doors, so they're super light. Like I could pick one up one-handed and just carry it.
Oh, okay.
And so he'll put them over his head and he'll sit there and do shoulder presses if we need one, and he'll walk it out to us. And I mean, it's not a long walk, but it's a good little walk, probably about a football field.
Those little tiny reps add up.
100%.
You know what I mean? And it's just like you just said, man, being able to mitigate not every little bit of time, because that will cause burnout, but being able to mitigate your workload throughout the day, or at least trying to find ways to do it, will certainly help.
Yeah, and the way that I see that this would minimize the burnout is because you're not now going to the gym after working a 12-hour shift.
Right.
You're doing it while at work, and then, I mean, yeah, you're still going to end up going to the gym because you're going with a friend to help him out, but it's not going to be like you're going constantly for yourself.
Well, see, and unfortunately, we found out the hard way, even after pushing as hard as we did, that just, it couldn't, it was hard for me, and it was hard for him for different reasons. But for me, that whole situation was a 2-hour ordeal because I was picking him up and dropping him off. So for me, it was a lot more, and it was just a lot for little.
Yeah.
And it wasn't going to work. So I don't know. I just got I just get tired of hearing my own fucking excuses in my own head, seeing pictures of myself that I don't like. And I was like, I'm just fucking sitting around.
Yep.
Why not fix it? And it's the hardest choice that people are going to have to make. But if you want results, then you have to push for it. We kind of did the same thing here. This is why we pushed so hard to make this thing a little bit more mobile. And we're still going to make it more mobile, is that so I can mitigate work at work. And I can do this shit. Now I can do it anywhere.
Yeah.
So
now we just got to figure out a way for being able to do mobile recording.
That's
especially by next month.
I already have a path to that, and I'll tell you off air. Jeez, if I could just bring my tow truck home, fuck, I'd be good to go. Everything's mobile.
I mean, you can.
I can. I just don't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
Hopefully your bosses aren't listening in. They'll be like, you did say if you could bring it home, we could set that up for you.
It's like, by the way, we got the North Phoenix DPS contract for you,
specifically
for you. So I appreciate you, and we'll see you in the morning with your truck.
And I hope you don't really like sleep because, like we said, it's for you. So we're not sending anybody else for help.
Oh shit. So yeah, that's just something I've dabbled in a little bit before, and I like to re-up on it because I have to remind myself, and this is a good way for me to remind myself and also remind people, who might be, I'm sure there's a lot of people that go through the same struggle. People who are trying to get done what they want to get done. And of course, the number one, I'm going to be an asshole and I'm going to say the number one excuse we constantly give ourselves is we don't have enough time.
Yeah.
And I get it. I fucking get it.
I fall into those slumps also. And then
I do too.
There's times where I'm like, wait, I'm just fucking laying in my bed watching TikTok right now. I could be doing something.
Right.
Like, this is retarded.
Yeah.
I'm being stupid.
And that's the hardest fucking, you have to be on yourself in that moment, because if you just break it up and start doing stuff you need to do, a small stride is better than no stride.
Yep. Yeah, so. I had that issue. Saturday I had all the fucking ambition to get shit done. And I got a lot of shit done. But then I had to wait for more tools because mine decided to grow legs and walk off.
What?
Yeah, I told you about that. The crimpers, I couldn't find them.
Oh, yeah. You did tell me about that.
So I was waiting for a new set to get delivered of the ones that I've been wanting to buy. So I kind of forced myself to buy it since the other ones decided they didn't want to exist no more.
Bye-bye.
And so Sunday when I woke up, sitting there waiting for them to get delivered, I was like, well, I got other stuff I could do. And then I never made out of bed until I got the notification that it was delivered.
Oh, shit.
So it was like, basically exactly what you're talking about. That knowing that I've got stuff to do. And I always say that I don't have the time to do it. But then I wasted an entire day just sitting there in bed.
Right, and that's my biggest issue. And it causes problems in my personal relationships, but I don't feel like there's any real excuse. If you have stuff that you want to get accomplished and you have stuff that you want to get done, then you don't get to make excuses when the time comes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a rough way to put it, but that's all there is to it, So, it sucks a lot, but one other thing that I talked about probably way early on in the show, not today, but many, many episodes ago, that we can tie many moon ago with zero quality that we can tie into this that I feel like is kind of appropriate is most people don't usually get the reality check of how difficult your goals can be to accomplish because of the fact that most of us are fully capable and without disability. We can walk, we can talk, we have all fingers, all toes. You are fully capable of picking up and learning something new or honing in on something that you truly want. All you fucking have to do is do the work. Now, what I'm talking about is when you see people that have faced, for whatever reason it may be a work accident, may it be birth happenings, may it be servicemen and women, and you have to relearn how to live your life missing limbs, some limbs, all limbs, eyesight, blah, 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 whatever the case may be. And they have to relearn how to do what it is that they love to do. And yet we still make excuses.
Oh, yeah. I mean, going just off of the people missing limbs, watching some of that stuff is some of the most inspirational shit to me.
Yeah.
So even back when I was in high school and riding bulls and stuff, there was this one guy, I can never remember his first name, but his last name was Green. And he was paralyzed from riding one of the bulls at the same bars that I would go to and ride at.
Mm-hmm.
And so every couple of months or so they would do a benefit ride for him, and he'd always be out every single week. He'd be out there watching the bull riding, and he was in a wheelchair. And then so you start talking to him, and he's like, yeah, doctors told me I'd never walk again, let alone ride another bull. He said, so we throw these benefits because all of that money is going to physical therapy to make me be able to ride a bull again. And then I remember one time I showed up and he's standing. Wheelchair's behind him, but he's standing, up against the fence, standing there, watching the bull riding. And I looked at him, I'm like, bro, you're standing right now. And he's like, yeah. And I took 3 steps today.
Holy shit.
I was like, God damn.
Yep.
And it's just those things. I mean, they send chills down me. When you see those people where the doctor's like, yeah, there's no way you'll ever walk again, and you're like, no, fuck that, I'm gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
And if those people can make that shit happen and have no excuses, why do we have excuses?
And that's just it, man. I've seen people maintain their disability and still do things that are far better than I could ever dream of.
Oh yeah, I mean, I saw a fucking video the other day of a guy with no legs. He's amputated at the hips.
Mm-hmm.
and he's a mechanic.
See, nothing stops the people with the right mindset, whether it's fingers, legs, one arm.
His mindset was great too, because he even said, he was like, yeah, I actually find that some jobs are easier without legs. He's like, because like if I'm working on the backside of a caliber or, you know, a wheel or whatever, he's like, I can just sit right up in there. He's like, you guys got to try and figure out how to bend around in there. He's like, I just stand right up in there.
Fucker.
I'm like, wow.
That's great. You see, it's just mind blowing, man. And I know we don't have those examples thrown in our face every day, but you have to think about how much worse it really could be, and you have to challenge yourself. Like here it comes. I haven't said it in a long time, but it's only gonna be you versus you in your head. When you start battling yourself in your own thoughts, when you start making excuses for why you can't do something, you know, call yourself out. Probably not audibly, because then people are going to start
You're
wondering about your mental stability.
You're not crazy if you talk to yourself. You're only crazy if you respond.
Just like, start with the simplest shit, you know? I mean, there was always that phrase, I don't remember exactly what it is, but paraphrasing wise, it just start by simply making your bed every morning.
Oh yeah, the
self-discipline.
Yeah, it's that speech that the Navy officer gave.
And when you can start maintaining, you know, small disciplinary habits, then take it to the next level and challenge yourself to do just a little bit better, whatever that means to you. And I don't know, maybe I'm just saying all this shit as like a reminder to myself to not fucking quit.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what this whole thing is all about, is, you know, working through our issues, the guests' issues, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Your own issues.
Mm-hmm.
But while working through those, putting it out there so that other people that are going through those same issues or similar issues can use that to help them work through their shit.
And the fucking scary part about all of these reoccurring issues is, like, as far as I can tell from talking to other people and hearing everybody's story, people that I haven't talked to, even online and shit like that, is that they don't ever go away.
Yeah.
Like, you can satisfy these things for...
They don't go away. They're just going to change face.
Right, exactly. And you can make them happy for a little bit, but you have to stay on top of these things, and you have to stay on top of your own mental health and your own mental stability. Or if you let it go, it's just going to be a rock slide.
Yeah, I mean, it's... Everything that you're working on is going to continue to take work. It's just, you know, your mental health is going to be the exact same as, like, your actual physical health, where, like, you were talking about wanting to lose weight. It's going to be that same thing. Like, once you lose the weight, you can't just stop working out.
Right.
The weight's just going to come back.
You have to maintain it.
You got to maintain it. And it's going to be the same thing with mental health. You know, once you get your mental health where you want it, or where you're, you know, more comfortable with yourself, you still have to maintain it. You can't just be like, oh, I'm done.
Yep.
I'm done. I'm good. I'm fixed.
Fix that. Time to go. No, you're 100% right there, and I think it's important that we all remember that, because obviously just now I even forgot to remember that. You know, that's hugely important, is the maintenance, and that people use the reference of going to the gym just because it's physical and it's tangible, but it's maintenance for your body, just like you do maintenance on your car.
Yeah.
Your mental health maintenance is not tangible, and it's not something you can physically put your hands on, but it's very real.
100%.
It's very fucking real, and it's definitely more important than a lot of things to maintain.
And I mean, everybody has their own way of being able to maintain their mental health. I mean,
oh, it's so fucking true.
There's so many different options out there, and so many, you know, good and bad mechanisms to use to be able to maintain it.
Mm-hmm.
And so don't feel like whatever works for one person is what works for everybody and is what has to work for you. And if it's not working for you, think that there's something wrong with you. You just haven't found out that way that works best for you.
Man, it's like you were reading my mind when you were saying that, because I was like, my next question I was going to ask you about one of the biggest, like probably one of the biggest question marks in my mind anyway, when people throw around words like People say shit like we're gonna have a baby, and that means that life is on hold now.
Oh, I hate that.
That kind of bullshit, Or we can't do this and we can't do that and we can't. Yeah, and this one might ruffle some feathers, and I don't mean for it to, but I can't stand when people say shit or they just give up because you have decided to take the next step in your life and procreate, and you think you should you think now is the most important time for you to give up and refocus. Because I fucking truly disagree. I think if there's anybody that needs to see how much effort you can put in, it's gonna be that baby.
Oh, 100%. And I mean, I see both sides of the spectrum. Like people that are like, well, I want to take time to be able to bond with the baby.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you got to remember the baby doesn't remember baby years.
Well,
and for me, the way that I look at it is, if you want to really bond with that child, what you need to do is bust your ass the most that you can when they're little, so that when they are older and they're getting to that age where they actually will start remembering things,
they're gonna start watching you.
Yeah, and then you can actually, spend time with them.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've already built up that savings. You've already done all that, backbreaking work to get where you want to be for that child and for yourself and for your family.
Well, and even still, make them a part of it.
100%.
Involve them in everything that you guys do. It doesn't mean that you have to stop. Just find ways to involve them. And nobody's... I can guarantee it. I'm going to get like a 50-50 rating on that statement. Because everybody thinks that you should stop doing a lot of stuff once you have children. And I wholeheartedly disagree.
Yeah. And I mean, so even like with my most recent ex, the one that had the toddler, I was with her when I started trying to do this, starting my business and everything and starting to build my trailer. And I remember there was one time she was like, hey, I'm going to take him inside or take him to the other side of the yard because it's loud over here. And I was like, well, why don't we give him headphones?
Right.
And she's like, well, he's not going to wear them. And I was like, he will. She's like, well, you can't force him to. And I'm like, I'm not going to. So
not even willing to have the conversation.
Well, it wasn't that she wasn't willing. She had tried before with, like, because her dad does a lot of metal work also.
Right.
And she had tried before with her dad, and, when her dad's working in the shop, and he won't wear them. But what I did differently, I put on a set myself.
Right. Lead by example.
And as soon as I put on a set, he walked over, and he actually tried taking the ones that I had.
Mm-hmm.
And so I put those on him. And then the very next day when I went out there, he walked straight to where we put him away and grabbed him without any type of, saying anything to him or anything. And she was like, how? And I was like, he's watching. He's in the mimicking stage.
Yeah, you just show him what's good.
And, he wants to help right now.
Yep.
And so if you make that known that, hey, this is what you got to do to help, he's going to do it.
That's perfect, man. One of the relationship I was blessed to be around some of the children too was the youngest used to follow me around when I'd be working in the garage and stuff. And every single time I'd go open the garage and I'd go put my gloves on. And guess what he would do? Go find gloves to put on.
Yep.
And I was like, you're learning. It's so damn quick, and you're only like 3. But it's so crazy because like I think I bring it up quite a bit, but I'll say it again. Like my dad, he never did anything hugely wrong. He's one of the best men I know, but he never did say a lot. Never had a lot to say. If there was something to be done, he just simply did it.
Uh-huh.
And that's what I learned. And that's what I can't emphasize enough. Like, I'm not mad about that. He was strong, and he was in the mindset of getting stuff done all the time. And I'm not... I have zero resentment towards any of the way he did anything.
Yeah.
Now I know, growing up, hey, if something needs to get done, I'm not going to bitch about it.
I'm going to go get it done real quick.
I got shit to do real quick. Yeah. And, I used to follow my dad around, not saying... We never said anything to each other. I just follow him around like a retard. I shouldn't use that word. Just followed him around like the kid I was.
like a lost puppy.
We just get tools and we'd go out there and do stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I can't stand when people use that excuse or and they use that as them wanting to just stop life right here. This is the end because we have kids. No.
Well, and that, like, even like there was times where she was like, "Well, I won't come over this weekend so that you can, focus on getting your stuff done." And I was like, I look forward to those mornings
Right.
when I get to wake up and have him helping me. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure, it makes it a little bit slower, but I don't care.
No.
Like, I mean, anybody that truly, truly actually knows me knows that that's what I want. I want children. I want to be a father. I want to be able to have that role.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, to me, that means more than anything. Being able to sit there and show him and teach him the stuff that I'm doing and I know how to do, because then I know he's going to know how to do that stuff later on. And I know that he has somebody decent to look up to. And it's just one of those things where that's something that I want out of life personally. And I would never let having a child slow me down. It's one of those things that, like you said earlier, it's, if anything, it would spark my fire even more.
Yeah, and part of that too is when I look on the other end of things and kind of pretense to what their future is going to be like, I would much rather them have already experienced a shit ton of stuff with his parents or her parents by the time they get to be teenagers and they start to get around kids that kind of don't really have a handle on what's going on.
100%.
And then, my kids they've been around shit. They've been a little bit around, they know what to expect here and there. They're not fucking virgins to the world.
Yeah.
So that's just me, and it's a little bit riskier. It's a little bit more dangerous per se, but I don't know. The thought of having that confidence in my kids, because I know where they've been and I know what they've done with me, that I'm like, they'll handle it.
Well, even, think further into it, because, like...
And if that boy is anything like me, he's going to need to know what to do off-roading.
Well,
I'm not there.
That's kind of what I was going to get at, but less of the off-roading and just more driving in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like, with mine and your mechanical background, I know that if I have a kid and that kid's with me every step of growing up,
mm-hmm.
then by the time that they turn 16 and get their license, if that beater car that I buy them breaks down on their way home from school or their way to school or their way home from work or hanging out with their friends or whatever, they're going to know how to fucking at least put it back together enough to get it the fuck home.
Right. You're building up. It's so much farther past, and you're so 100% right, man. What you're dabbling in is a little bit of self-sufficiency by the time you need them to have it.
Yeah, because I can't tell you how many times with, obviously I'm not on the road as much as you are, but I'm still on the road a shit ton every day. 3 hours a day.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times I've drove past cars sitting on the side of the road where it's 3 cars parked with 6 guys standing there staring at the car, trying to figure out how to change a fucking tire. And
it's so true.
Or, the worst, I say the worst just because the way that I was raised, the men should do that stuff, especially sitting on the side of the road.
Mm-hmm.
The woman shouldn't have to be the one underneath the car. I'm not saying they shouldn't know how to do it, anything like that. I'm saying that if there's a guy there and there's a woman there, the guy should take care of it so she doesn't have to be underneath that car on the side of the road.
It should be handled.
And I've passed cars a couple of times where there's 4 guys standing there watching a woman change the tire. And it's like, do you guys really not know how to change a tire? Like, it's, for most vehicles on the road, it's like 5 lug nuts. You take them off.
And it's becoming more and more common too. But yeah, I think the only other part of that I was gonna, I don't really feel like I have the room so much to speak on the other side of that. When you have kids, people tend to try to they try to tend to shut down whatever passion or fire it is that they have for something that would be considered a hobby.
Yeah, people. I mean, they try and put their hobbies aside, and I get it because they're doing it to try and conserve money. That's
Right.
what most people are doing it for.
Right.
They're trying to conserve the money to put towards the child.
Mm-hmm.
Which at that point, and I understand, there's never going to be a time where you're truly ready to have a child.
Fuck no.
You're never truly going to be financially ready. You're never truly going to be mentally ready. Anybody that thinks they are, they're not, and they're going to find out real fucking quick. And so, but where I'm going with that is, if you feel like your hobbies are taking up that much money, then maybe you should have second thought about having a kid. Like, or not stop your hobby, but figure out ways to continue your hobby and not spend a ton of money.
I don't know. Sorry, go ahead.
I just, like, even with mine, like, my biggest hobby is, the racing. And that can get extremely expensive extremely quick, or even like where we were just talking before this about, building a mud truck. Instantly when I tell you and my dad that, you both are thinking like full-blown mud truck on fucking pizza cutter tractor tires.
Yeah, exactly.
Where in my head it's like, okay, well, let's start with basically a stock truck
Mm-hmm.
on a 6-inch lift, 35 Swampers, a truck that maybe we got $2,000 invested into, including the purchase of the truck.
That sounds much better.
Like, and then building it from there. Like, I'm still doing the same thing. I'm still going out there playing in the mud. And I'm sorry, but we have no tracks left in Arizona where we need a fucking built mud truck like that.
Oh, not out here, no.
Like,
we're out of that fucking field for sure.
we used to. We don't know more.
Yeah, they're all gone.
The one that we still have, I've seen way too many stock vehicles make it through. So,
I was gonna say when people say stuff like that. Sorry, I'm going back to the topic again. But when people say stuff like that, or when that kind of stuff happens, then I raise the question of, what kind of future tense are you thinking about, or what kind of future are you talking about? Because if you're deciding to stop whatever it is that could potentially be your path, then what, you're gonna settle in the path that you're on right now and just be mediocre for the rest of your life because you decided you didn't want to push that hard?
I'll even take that a step farther, and now you're going to teach your child that just settling for mediocre is okay.
Right, because it's the easy way.
Yeah.
And I can't help but feel like that's not correct. The conversation has always been, if you want something bad enough and if you need something bad enough, then you're going to have to make sacrifices for it, right?
100%.
Okay. The conversation never ends with, if you want something bad enough, you're going to have to make sacrifices for it unless you have kids. That's never been said.
Nope. And
it never involves the conversation about having children. Sacrifices, period. End of question.
And that's where, like, my takeaway, where my disconnect comes from, is when parents try and tell their kids, do as I say, not as I do. Because most of the time when parents tell their kids that, it's the whole, well, I want better for my kid than what I have for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay, you're asking your kid to do something that you weren't willing to do yourself.
That's fucked up, but you're right.
You want your kid to push themselves into uncomfortable situations that you weren't willing to push yourself into.
I was going to say a place that you've never been.
Yeah.
I you know what? I've heard that a million times, and I didn't think about it until you fucking said it, but I would wholeheartedly, in my mindset, I would wholeheartedly tell him the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Watch me. Don't listen to my words. Watch me. And I feel like that would take him a lot farther.
Because, I mean, that's kind of how me and my dad are. I mean, he's told me that a couple of times, the do as I say. But then at the same time, I think at one point in time, my dad had that realization, because then he started pushing himself harder. And, like, even now, my dad has been talking to his bosses, and my dad told his boss, he's like, I want out of a truck.
It's
And
it's kind of a dead end, you know.
and so now he's been talking with the boss of, hey, like, what's the plans for me, because I want to be able to move up. Like,
Right.
I'm not getting any younger. I don't want to operate a truck for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, that's where a lot of people get confused, I guess is the best word to use, with like mine and my dad's relationship, because at this point in my life, me and my dad are more like friends than we are like a father and a son.
Hmm.
And like, there's times where my dad will openly call me and ask me for advice on what he should do for a certain situation. And to be able to get to that point, it just comes from that mutual respect that comes from a parent leading by example. Yes, my dad has told me I want better for you than I had for myself, but if you knew my dad's past, you would understand.
Yeah.
Like, and so there were times where my dad told me, he's like, I wish I would have done this, and for that I want you to push yourself to do it so you don't have that regret.
Mm-hmm.
But it's straightforward and honest. My dad will tell me, I regret not doing this. That's why I want you to not do it. Like,
it takes a lot of heart and a lot of balls for a man to sit down with his son and tell him shit like that.
yeah, it's to me, that's different than saying, hey, do as I say, not as I do.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're admitting at that point, at the point of the conversations me and my dad have had, he's admitted, hey, I know I have flaws, but you can do way better than I did.
Well, it opens your eyes, you know.
Yeah.
Having that conversation and hearing those words from somebody that you care about, it's an eye opener.
Yeah, and I mean, it ties completely into what we were talking about, because it's all about having that accountability and everything for yourself and the actions you've done, and knowing that you're not giving stuff up for the child. It's, you're still pushing. My dad was still pushing. I mean, I had watched him start, going through different pushes and stuff like that, working 16, 17, 18-hour days and stuff, and actually going through that motion. I mean, I've watched my dad go from no job to working 18-hour days. Like, there's no point in there where my dad wasn't trying to better himself, better our situation, better anything.
Mm-hmm.
So for him to say, hey, I'm having to do this because I fucked up here, it's like, all right, cool. I'm going to try not to fuck up there, and I'm going to just keep running this way.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think that that conversation and being able to put all that shit into words is more important than a lot of things. But I also feel like that conversation gets taken for granted quite a bit.
like, parents don't have that conversation when they should, type of taken for granted, or the children don't listen to the conversation.
I don't think I'm even speaking about a parental conversation.
Or you're just saying in general.
In general, because I could try to have that conversation with somebody close to me, and within seconds of starting that conversation, that it's just going to be consumed as a whatever or a weakness or something like that.
Yeah.
That could be the same thing as in an incorrect parental situation, depending on the parents and the child, depending on where the kid looks up. And
Well, and I mean, even going based off of like what you were saying on like the friend aspect of it, or like a coworker or something like that, that can easily be turned into one of the situations where people are like, well, why is this guy trying to tell me how to live my life? And
yeah, people bring pride into it, man.
And a lot of what I've realized, and I think it was a teacher that told me the saying. It's either somebody when I was in school or when I was in the military. It was one or the other. But they told me that people most of the time people they listen to respond. They don't listen to comprehend.
Oh God,
So
that's so fucking true.
so all you're listening for is key points and what somebody's saying, and then once somebody hears something, they grasp onto it and they start thinking about their response, and any other word after that that comes out of your mouth, they don't hear at all.
Right. That I
And
fucking learned that too.
but it comes down to like what you were saying with trying to have that conversation, and within seconds they're just automatically trying to argue it. It's because they're not truly listening to what you're saying. They're just listening to what you're saying to be able to rebut you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, I mean, I get that's probably where you were going at with the
Well, I just
saying that it gets taken for granted because
I've seen that conversation, even over time, produce somebody's image of you being perceived as weak. Or when you try to explain things in a certain manner, it gets taken like, well, it's not even in verbiage either, because people don't think about this. This is definitely something that's beyond your frontal thought process. But if you have somebody in your life that chooses to explain themselves to you, I'm not talking about making excuses either. I'm talking about they choose to explain things to you that they've done or choices they made or whatever.
yeah, just explaining their life story.
Or explaining no, even
Well, I mean, not that in depth, but
people automatically indirectly perceive that as a weakness, and they assume that they are in a point of power now because somebody feels like they have to explain themselves to you.
yeah,
And that's one of the big things I always talk about is being an active part of your own conversation. When you listen to people explain themselves to you, it's because they feel like they can fucking trust you in what they're going to tell you.
that's what it is. It's active listening. That's what I was explaining.
Active listening. Yeah, you have to be an active part of your conversation, and you're an active part of, the conversation that's happening in front of you, instead of just being on the defensive about what's about to be said.
Yeah.
And this conversation veered, but it's all relevant.
In one way or another.
One way or the other. I hope you guys were keeping up, because, son of a bitch.
We'll get a whiteboard. It'll be fine.
I need a wipe. I have one.
Well, I mean, for all the listeners to be able to keep
yeah.
up with the...
You're
it all loops back around eventually.
You're lucky you can pause, because I can't. Oh, shit. Well, do you want to have anything positive you want to close out with?
You want to speak that in English?
I can't.
The words decided they're not coming out anymore.
And after that note, you're done.
I'd say probably one of the big positive takeaways from this, to go along with what we've been saying most of this episode, is no matter the circumstance, because I know we went on a rant about children for a while, but take that completely out of the situation. No matter what the situation is, no matter what it is that you feel you're having to put your life on hold for, don't. I understand maybe backpedaling just a little bit, slowing down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, change your route. Instead of a $20,000, hobby, look at a way of taking that same hobby but doing it for like $2,000.
Right.
Figure out ways to continue to be yourself,
Mm-hmm.
but also still go through that challenge of life. Still go through whatever you're facing.
The size of the stride is not the matter. It's whether or not you're still moving forward.
Correct.
Ooh, we should write that down. That was a good one.
I like it.
Yeah, me too. Fuck.
We got plenty of wall space.
Oh, no.
I
I'm
got
not writing on the wall.
I got a Sharpie right here. Hold on. Wait a minute.
There will never be a point in time where, if you want something bad enough, you won't have to sacrifice for it. So,
I mean, especially, if you're making those strides to better yourself, then, that's exactly what Sage is saying here. Is there's going to be a time where everything is. Everybody says it always gets rough before it gets better, and there's going to be a time where it's going to break, and you're going to start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and you're going to be like, wow, this is what I've been busting my ass for. This is what I've been killing myself for.
Yep.
And
you're going to know, too. So, no matter what it is, just keep pushing. A little bit is a little bit. It's better than nothing. So, I'm not going to tell you to like, click, and follow all the goddamn things because I've been saying it all goddamn week and I don't want to say it no more. I'm kidding. If you're listening, please give me a like, follow, subscribe so you can get notified of all the new episodes and all the new updates. You were going to say something?
No.
Oh, never mind. Okay. And
this is your part.
Enjoy the rants. We will be back. His days have been switching, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
So
it still happens once a week. Just what day during the week it is.
It's getting more exciting. But until then, we will see you soon.
Later.